Hi bag makers, Lisa here from Andrew Designs and welcome to another weekly Ask Andrew live Facebook chat. I'm excited to be here. I've had a great weekend with my family. It was my youngest daughter's, so my baby's 5th birthday. So I know she's not my baby anymore, but she's still my baby. So we gave her a lovely party on Sunday, and of course the theme was Rainbow Unicorn Pool Party because it's all about rainbow unicorns at the moment when you're 5 apparently. So it was really nice to spend the day with friends and family and just relax and have a nice party for her and make her feel really special. In true fashion, being the fact that we live in a tropical climate, it rained on her birthday as per tradition. We wouldn't want to break that now because every single year of her life it's rained on her birthday and her birthday party. So, of course, it rained, but being a pool party, it didn't matter. And the kids still had a wonderful time and they were swimming and us adults were sitting around chatting and drinking, coffee, of course, and enjoying nice food. So it was a really nice weekend, and I don't think I did any sewing, which was surprising. But, you know, you get those weekends. So I hope you've had a good weekend anyway, and a good week since we last chatted last Tuesday. I don't even know what day of the week it is. So before we kick off with your questions, I thought I would just show you a little something I'm kind of proud of. You might remember this bag, my black and gold Shades of Yesterday tote that I made a little while ago now. Must have been last year, actually. I think I finished it off just after I had my hand surgery. So when was that? September. So yeah, it was maybe, 5-6 months ago now. But this bag has been all the way to the US and back. So late last year, I got it finished just in time to enter it into the Road to California Quilters Conference, I guess it is. And you had to apply. So they had a bag making section this year. The conference was just a couple of weeks ago. And you had to apply, submit your bag or a quilt if you're doing a quilt for the judges or a panel to look at and then decide if you were accepted to enter, and then if accepted you posted your item to, in my case, all the way to America to be featured in the conference. So I submitted, I put my information through and my photos of my lovely bag, and lo and behold they came back and said, yes, your entry is accepted and here's the information on shipping your product, your item to us for display at the convention. So that was really exciting. That was around the start of December, I think it was, and then it was just a waiting game, waiting until the actual conference itself and then waiting to hear from the judging as to what they thought of my bag. Unfortunately, I didn't win any placings, but to be honest, I didn't do it to win anything. I just more did it just for the experience. I really enjoyed making something and then having a complete panel of complete strangers accept my work and have it, then sent all the way to America. So it was quite exciting just to be part of the process. Hats off to the people who organised the conference. It was ridiculously, amazingly organised. I was communicated with the whole way through in terms of my bag, like I had a number, so I don't know, that was me. So, as soon as they received my bag, they gave me an email to let me know it had been received, and then as soon as it was sent, they let me know that it had been sent on its way back to me. So I was kept in the loop the whole time, which was really nice. And one of my customers actually sent me a few photos of my bag on display there, so I'll pop those up at some point on my social media, which was totally unexpected. So that was really exciting to see, and I'm guessing it was one of the judges, I'm not really sure who the lady is, but someone's holding up my bag and showing people, and the customer who sent me the photos said that people were oohing and ahhing, and she made a point of letting them know that I had designed the pattern as well as made the bag. So that was really cool just to get that extra feedback that I wasn't actually expecting. And I got some lovely comments on my bag from Annie from By Annie's. So that was really quite cool that, the By Annie lady has reviewed and sort of judged or written feedback on my bag. There was 3 judges, so she didn't do it on her own. So yeah, that was quite exciting. This arrived back, I think it was late Friday afternoon. So it was quite cool to open it up and, you know, see the judging comments and, you know that this has been all the way to California and being judged, and it's back in one piece, which is nice. It was quite a treasure. I'm not sure if I'll ever sell this or anything, because it's quite a special one. It doesn't happen often that you make one that you're, or I don't think that I make one that I'm like really attached to, but this one, yeah, I really like this one, so might just have to keep it for myself and maybe, you know, use it for myself, which doesn't happen often either. So that was that one. That's the Shades of Yesterday tote, which you've probably seen pictures of it when I shared it on my social media late last year. Used a variety of black and gold fabrics to piece the front. It's got a nice cork with gold flex gusset. It's the same cork that I've used in the summertime sling that I showed you the other week. I did a double-sided strap for it, so it's got cork, I don't know if you can see that, cork on the underside, and then on the top I just used plain black to really highlight the cork that's hiding underneath. Beautiful gold hardware from Betty Box Pleat. Of course, I mean, you had to have gold hardware. I used solid plain black fabric for the piping, which just gives it that definition without being in your face, because there's so much detail in the cork and these prints on the front. I felt that was busy enough, so I just went for plain piping, and of course the gold top stitching down the curves just to accentuate those fabrics again. Plain black zip to close, and get it open. What I have, just a plain black zip on the pocket in there as well. So the highlights really are, you can see the inner pocket there. So the highlights really are the outer piecing with the gold and black fabrics, and on the back I just chose my favourite print and added that as a nice solid panel on the back with a nice plain black pocket. Wendy, what thread did you use for the gold? So the gold, so I just use Gutermann thread. I don't use anything fancy, and the gold thread itself is, I'm not sure if you're familiar with Gutermann, but they have like a silky range, which I'm guessing is for machine embroidery type applications normally. So I just used the gold in that. The normal gold colours in the Gutermann thread isn't gold, it's more like a beigey brown, and it didn't have the shine. Like I've used this for quite a few different gold coloured bags. I think I made a black and gold roll with it tote back when I did that pattern. And this it's under the sulky thread range, and it's got a nice shine to it, I guess, because machine embroidery threads usually have a nice shine and look a lot more alive than your traditional normal everyday threads. So that's what I've used. It can be a little bit finicky at times depending on thicknesses, or if my machine's just having a bad day, because it's a bit thinner, so it can break a little bit easier. But for the most part, yeah, it's pretty easy to use, much like your normal thread, and just gives a nice finish. So, oh, thank you, bag is stunning. Thank you. Yeah, I'm really proud of this one. Yeah, I'm really like this one. Might just have to keep it for myself. Yeah, so that's what thread I use for that, and I actually used, I got it right behind me, of course. I did some, so this is a metallic, which I don't know if you can see, but it's got a nice shine to it. This is a Gutermann as well, so it's not under the sulky range. So that's the gold. I don't have much left of it. As you can see, I need to go get some more. I think the numbering is awful. It's 1159. Yeah, sulky. So that's the gold. It's not going to focus on that. And then I've also been experimenting with metallic thread. So again, it's a Gutermann sulky thread, but it's metallic, so it's in a different section to the gold, and it's kind of finer again. And I actually found, I've used this on some applique for a pillow for my daughter. I actually found it quite frustrating to use because it would stretch and then break quite easily. I had to end up reducing the tension on my machine, and I never have to touch the tension to make this work. But I got it to work, so I'm quite happy with the result. I used that one, and I used was it a white or an off-white creamy colour. So yeah, I kind of find it fun. Sometimes I find that top stitching just adds that little bit extra without throwing another fabric into the mix or another piece of hardware or something. Quite often I'll triple top stitch, so the stitching down these strips, down the curves, that is a triple top stitch. That's just a setting on my machine. I believe most machines have that option. Some people instead will just thread up 2 spools of thread and just stitch it once, so I guess that's a double top stitch. Just helps the top stitching, it's a bit more defined and it's a bit thicker, so it's more likely to stand out and really give that definition and that pop. I quite like using it around the top of bags, so I chose not to around the top of this one because I wanted this stitching to be the feature and stand out more, and I didn't want another element added across the top here, so I chose not to. But on some bags that don't have the piecing like this on the front, I will do a triple top stitch around the top to finish off. And the bonuses, as well as standing out a bit more and looking effective, it also helps hold the foam and everything in place that's folded in half and really squishes it together, so it gives a really nice finish as well. But it's kind of trial and error and it's experimentation. That's what I prefer. Sometimes if I'm not in the mood for it or I just want to get the bag finished, I'll just whiz around it with normal top stitch. Yeah, it's kind of personal preference really on that one. So anyway, yeah, so that was my excitement for the end of last week, was receiving this back from California. So yeah, I'd love to know if any of you guys went to the Road to California conference. I think it was on the 16th or 17th of January local time. Yeah, I'm not sure. I haven't seen too much of it. I probably just haven't been looking in the right spot on social media, to be honest. And I've been busy doing other things and I haven't really had time. Yeah, so that's pretty much me and thread. So fire away if you guys have any questions regarding anything at all, just let me know in the comments. That was pretty much what I was going to talk about today, was just show you my bag. I'm currently working on a new design which is coming together quite nicely, and it uses O-rings, nice big 2-inch O-rings, which is not as common in terms of hardware usage and patterns. I think the last time I used the O-rings was in my Summer Loving Beach Tote, so that would be probably 2 years ago now. I don't know, just with this style of bag, I think they're really going to make a statement. So this pattern that I'm working on is not going to come out for a little while, but it will be part of my classic collection. So it's going to be a nice straightforward pattern, straightforward construction techniques, very easy and quick to throw together. But there's just a couple of little elements which are really easy but look effective and just make it, just give it that extra little pop while being a very quick and easy pattern. So especially for those, if you make to sell or take orders or something, you know, you can bust one of these out pretty quickly. So that'll come out later. I really want to show you because it's just sitting like just over there on my cutting table, but I can't, so I'll just keep that one to myself. But it's using O-rings, which are, yeah, quite fun, a little bit different and at times a little bit fiddly because of the weight of them. Well, the 2-inch ones I have are quite heavy, so they kind of flop around a bit. But I find safety pinning the top. I'm not allowed to, Kylie, I can't show you. Safety pinning the top of the ring helps keep them in place while you're doing what you need to do. Wendy, I'm still unsure the best way to put in foam, not adhesive. Okay, so I only use sew-in foam. I don't use fusible foam. If you want to find out more about why not, that's in my last video. We actually chatted about fusible versus sew-in. So have a look at that, which was 30th of January from memory. So the best way I find to do sew-in foam is literally just cut a piece as per the pattern piece, or even just lay a assembled fabric panel on top of the foam. cut around it roughly. It doesn't have to be fancy or anything because you're going to trim it after anyway. And then starting down the sides, so imagine you're working with a basic square. I will clip or pin, but I like to clip the middle of, say, the left side, and then just smooth the fabric across. I don't stretch it or pull it, I just flatten it with my hand and clip the middle of the right side. Then I'll rotate it 90 and repeat again. So what was the top is now on my left side, because I'm left-handed. Clip the middle of that side, and again smooth the fabric across and clip the middle of the next side. So you've got 4 points clipped and they're in the middle of each side. Then you just sort of work out flattening out the fabric and clip the rest of the sides in place. And then you just baste round it. Longest stitch on your, hi Brett, longest stitch on your machine. And I use 1/4 inch seam allowance because my patterns have a 1/2 inch allowance built into them. There's a couple of exceptions, you need to follow the pattern directions for that. And yeah, you just whiz around. It doesn't have to be straight, doesn't have to be coordinating thread. You literally just whiz around to attach it, and then afterwards, me being fussy, I like to go back to my cutting table, get my trusty rotary out and trim off any smidgens of foam that's poking out past the fabric so that I have a nice crisp edge basically where the fabric sits. And I actually find that I kind of tilt the rotary under slightly, so it's not quite on a 45-degree angle, but it's on a bit of a slope, so it kind of undercuts the foam ever so slightly so that the fabric is the edge, not the foam, because the fabric is the piece that you then are going to line up with the other panel or the base or whatever it is that you're attaching it to. So hope that helps. I could probably throw a video together when I get around to doing my free tutorials if you wanted further like visual on that. But once you've done it once or twice, it's pretty straightforward. The bigger panels can be bulky. Just load it up with clips and stop often as you're sewing it to turn it, and you know, stop with your needle down so it holds it in place, and yeah, just whiz around it. As I said, no worries Wendy. As I said, it doesn't have to be straight. I'll often use completely mismatching thread, just whatever's in my machine, just to attach it. So yeah, it's just to hold it in place while you then do what you need to do on the panel or continue assembling your bag. So I think that was about it with the foam. As you know, I love foam. I love a structured bag. I know there's a time and place for fleece, but I haven't really found it too often as yet. I like a bag to hold itself. Makes it easier to find stuff in the bottom. Otherwise you tend to be rifling through a soft bag that's floppy and the bag gets in the way and you can't find that thing that's at the bottom that your child's nagging you for and just want it right now, and it's, yeah. Nah, my children aren't that bad. They all have their moments though, right? Yeah, so that's about it from me today. That's all I had to show you, I guess. If anyone has any other questions, pop them in the comments now. As you know, I'll still answer comments after the live video is finished anyway, and like each time I've been on live chat, I will then pop this up on my YouTube channel, which is just Andrew Designs, and link it through into a blog post so you can go back and watch it at any time. And Jolene, I get so many compliments on how the stand-up tote stands up. Yes, thank you. And well done. That's really good to hear. I know you've made probably countless. You've probably made way more than me now, Jolene. But yes, that's why I designed that pattern, and it specifies to use foam because you need it to stand up. You know, it's all very well getting a nice bag from the shops that stands up on display in the shop, but usually it's because it's full of stuffing, and when you take that out, it tends to go, and you go, come on, stand up, and it just doesn't want to stand up. So yeah, foam, if you get a good foam, it can make or break a bag, I think, and really make it look awesome or make it look okay. But again, personal preference. I like a structured bag, some people don't. So Jolene, I'm still seeing them in my sleep. I bet you are. You've made so many of them, but That's awesome, and it's such an easy bag to throw together. So it's perfect for customers and making to sell. I think it's such an easy one. Wendy just used SF101 and was going to use fleece. Now want to use foam. Will that still work? I'm not exactly sure what you mean. So using the SF101 or equivalent interfacing, the purpose of using that is completely different to why you use a fleece or foam. We touched on this last time as well, so have a look at that video, but just to quickly recap, when you use an interfacing, that gives the outer fabric resilience, I guess, and makes it a bit more durable. So especially if you're using quilting cotton a lot, which most of us will use for some of our bag, if not all of our bag, after use, that fabric is easily going to wear because it's not a heavy duty, it's not a denim or a leather or anything. So the interfacing gives those fabrics extra support, I guess, extra resilience, and then the fleece or foam is what gives the bag structure. So they have two very different purposes. I think both are equally as important as the other. Obviously, if you want a completely slouchy bag with no structure, still use interfacing on your fabric, but omit the fleece or foam. You still need to give your fabric, especially the outer fabric, that extra durability, I suppose, if you want another word for it. Hi Faye, no worries you're late signing in, that's fine. Welcome. Wendy, the SF101 was put on already. Well, that's a bonus. Wow, where did you find fabric that already had interfacing on it? Gosh, that's quite cool. Imagine how much faster things would be if that was always the case. God, that just changed the world. I missed a question. Maybe I didn't. No, maybe I didn't. Helen, do you interface the lining of your bags? Yes, absolutely. Again, for durability. So you think for most bags, you're putting things in and out each time you use them. Your wallet or a drink bottle or books or a laptop or a child's food or whatever it is. So again, you're going to have friction against that fabric, you're going to have movement, and even though it's on the inside of a bag, it's still going to be used in contact with things. So yes, absolutely, I still interface the lining of my bags as well. I pretty much interface everything. It can be a bit tedious at times, especially on patterns where there's a lot of pieces, and I know some of mine have a lot of pieces. You can trust the process, there's a reason for it usually, it all works out in the end. So yes, I definitely recommend interfacing the lining as well. I kind of think if you're going to go to the expense and the time to make a bag to start with, to use nice fabric, use nice hardware, and then interface and add fleece or foam to the outside of your bag, you'd kind of be doing yourself an injustice to then not interface the lining. It wouldn't give as nice a finish, I don't think, and you're more likely to have issues in terms of it wearing through or accidentally ripping a hole or something on the inside if you've kind of shortcutted that way. So yeah, I like to interface everything pretty much, to know that my bags are well made and they're going to last quite a while. Again, it's personal preference. There's probably hundreds of patterns out there that say you don't need to interface your linings. I guess part of it's personal preference, but I personally always recommend you interface your linings as well as the outer. You putting the time to make a bag, you want it to last at least a few months until you change your mind and you make another one, because we've got the skill to do it. So yeah, I hope that helps with that. It takes a bit more time, but I think it's worth it. I really do. Is there any times I don't interface? I'd have to have a think about that. There might be the odd thing, but I can't think of anything off the top of my head. Helen, I've never made a bag what would be the easiest one for my first one? Oh, a bag newbie. Oh, okay. So I have a free messenger bag pattern, which is an older pattern of mine, but hey, it's free, so you can give it a go. That's the Good to Go messenger bag. You can grab that from my website, or if you sign up to my newsletter mailing list, then you can also receive the free poly crossbody pouch. Both of those are really easy, nice straightforward bags, and would be a good starting point. So yeah, I'd probably recommend starting with those. I think a lot of my customers, I notice over time, they usually will say, I've never made a bag before, or like they've posted in my patterns in this group, I've never made a bag before, but I've just made the Good to Go messenger bag. Here it is, what do you think? And it looks wonderful, and they've done a really good job, and they've learnt some of the basic bag making techniques. And then you go and you might make 2 or 3 of those, and then you've got those skills, and then you apply it to, say, the poly or a stand-up and tote notice tote bag, and you learn a few more skills, but you're also applying what you've already learned from the first one, and you're continually building on the skills that you have. So yeah, I'd recommend starting with one of those. If you wanted something smaller, the stand-up clutch is a really nice and easy little bag. Some basic piecing. It's pretty straightforward, nice and easy. And also, if you wanted something that's very simple and straightforward, but looks harder than it is, any of the patterns in the classic collection, so the classic clutch and the classic carryall, again, those are straightforward techniques, really, really easy to put together, but they look, oh, wow, did you make that type thing? So those are some starting points. Feel free to post in the group and ask what others recommend. That's just what I recommend. Yeah, hope that helps with that one. Kylie says for linings. Okay, so Kylie says for linings, if she's using a heavier upholstery fabric or canvas, she doesn't interface it. That's correct. So I don't use those sorts of fabrics for my linings. But if you were using a heavier fabric, such as a canvas or even a denim or a drill, you wouldn't need to interface that. Again, it's already got the thickness and the durability in it. And the same if you're using that fabric on the outside of a bag, or cork, or leather, or vinyl, you really don't need to interface those either. I guess part of it comes down to personal preference though. And I don't use those thick fabrics on linings generally, because that's just too hard. I'd rather have the feature fabric on the outside. I guess there's a time and place for it. So again, personal preference, that's just what I use. But anyway. Jolene says, the stand up and tote notice swap was my first bag ever. The instructions were easy and straightforward, and the pattern group were a great help. Wow, you made your first stand up tote for the swap? That's impressive. Very cool. Well done. Gosh, it's been a while since we did that swap. Maybe we should do another stand-up tote swap. That was quite fun. I think people really enjoyed that one. And everyone got a nice tote bag out of it. Gosh, was that this time last year? Or the year before? I can't remember. It was a while ago. Yeah, so the stand-up tote is another easy one. I know that the curved outer top can be a bit daunting for people though. My general saying with that one is on this, because there's 3 sizes in the stand-up tote pattern, small, medium and large. I generally say the small is fiddly, the medium is straightforward, the large is bulky. So keep that in mind if you do want to make that pattern. This is in terms of making it. The medium I think is the easiest to sew. The small, as I said, is a little bit fiddly because it's smaller and it's got the foam in it, so it wants to hold its shape, and you are trying your darndest to squish it because you need to sew that seam, and it's not allowed to be in its shape yet, but it's, fighting you a little bit, so it can be a little bit fiddly. It's not hard, it's just fiddly. You've got to get the muscles out and really show who's the boss. And then the large, again, the large is easy to sew, it's just bulky. It's quite a big bag. It's a nappy size bag type thing, or beach bag. So again, you've got to get your muscles out and really maneuver all that bulk through your machine as you're sewing, especially that last lot of top stitching around the curves. So it's easily doable. Lots of people have done it, and I've made several over the last couple of years since it was released. I actually have one waiting to be made for a very special friend of mine who's due to have her first baby soon, so I'm going to make her a nice one as a diaper bag, or nappy bag I should say. And I'm actually going to put a adjustable crossbody strap on it as well, so I'll try and remember to take some photos and put that up on a blog post as a pattern hack for those who want to add that on. Really straightforward, but I'll try and remember to do that as well. Brett and Nicole, we both love the stand-up swap. I know, it was pretty fun. I don't know why that one seems to be the favourite of all of them so far. Yeah, it was a while ago. Oh, how time flies. Anyway, I think that's about it from me for now. If you have any questions, pop them in the comments within the next very brief few seconds. Otherwise, I'll sign off and I will post this to the wall and also add it to my blog. Just remember that if you see in the Facebook group, if it says Lisa Ratford was live, then that tells you that this post I'm not live at this point in time, but that I was earlier in the day or yesterday, whenever it was. In case, I know it can be a little bit confusing the way that Facebook runs things or shows things or whatever, so keep that in mind. Jolene says kettlebells help to flatten seams. Kettleballs? I don't have those. I just squish them. Or iron. If it's fabric like quilting cotton, I just I finger press it, stick it on my ironing board and shove that iron on it and push down. Or get my hammer and give it a good 1 or 2 whacks with my hammer, my tiny little pink hammer. But it's whatever works, So I'll work out equipment. Yeah, okay, I don't have that sort of stuff. No, that's okay. Anyway, so lovely talking to you all. Thank you for joining in to this Ask Andrew chat. We've had a nice couple of questions about interfacing in Thread, and I hope that information's been helpful. If you have any further questions, feel free to pop it in the comments afterwards, and I will send this out in a newsletter on Friday. Enjoy the rest of your day wherever you are, and thank you. I'll chat to you next time. Bye.